afternoon and happy Thursday, self-storage industry. I don't know how excited or afraid I am for this one because I have two jokesters on the line with me today, and I kind of feel like I might need a censor button at some point throughout today's broadcast. These two love to pickle on each other and me because they're both way taller than I could ever dream to be. But super excited to be here today. I've got Alonna Ross from StorageAuctions.com, and I have Jim Mooney from Freedom Storage Management, and we are going to be talking about online auctions and everything contactless in the industry. Alonna, I'm going to let you lead and introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, what you do, who you work for, and then we'll follow it by Jim.
All right, so I'm Alonna Ross. I am with StorageAuctions.com. I am their business development manager. I spend the entire year traveling around the United States doing these events normally in person, but now I feel like I'm doing them virtually at least once a week. So auctions are a hot topic. And one of the people that I have the pleasure of working with pretty regularly because they are growing so rapidly is Jim Mooney and from Freedom Management, and he was my perfect choice for helping me with this one.
Thanks, Alonna. Great. Yeah, I'm Jim Mooney. I'm Vice President Operations of Freedom Storage Management. We currently operate 20 facilities, and we're actually growing our footprint. We now have, we're looking into Texas. We have Ohio, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. And we made the switch to Alonna's group during COVID last year, and it was a really simple transition. Alonna and I have been friends since Texas many years ago, so the opportunity to work with her and have a great product was a no-brainer for our group.
Awesome. Thank you guys both for that intro. And I just had the pleasure of being in person with these two lovely individuals at the Self Storage Association show in Nashville. What was it? Just a week ago. Feels like forever ago, but it literally was just a week ago. And Jim, I know your travel, and Alonna, you guys both have some crazy travel schedules coming up. Excited to see you guys in a couple weeks at ISS. If you're not attending ISS, you guys should. Before we officially launch and kick off today's session, I have some poll questions for the audience. Please give us your honest feedback on these questions. I'm going to launch poll number 1. Okay. Do you currently own a self-storage facility, or are you looking to own, or neither?
I can't imagine anybody saying neither. Who wouldn't want to own a storage facility?
Absolutely.
Especially in today's market, my goodness.
Yeah.
The only ones out there that may not own some are maybe some of our proud vendor partners we like working with out there, like you, Alonna.
Hey, but my family owns storage.
Do they? I didn't know. See, I learn something new all the time being around you. And if anyone doesn't know, Alonna is the lady in red.
If you ever see me in red, I'm trying to be incognito or not in red.
All right. Actually, a good bulk of today said neither, but 43% currently own. No one on today's call is looking to own. So we have a big ownership group out there today with us. So thank you all for joining. Here we go. Poll number 2, which all of you said you own a facility, so you should be able to answer this one easily. If you own a facility, are you executing live auctions, online auctions, or neither of the two? So far, we got a pretty good 50-50 split. 50% live, 50% online. Oh, just shifted. 60% online, 40% live. Keep putting those answers in there. We want to hear from you. We love collecting this information. All right. We'll end it now. 60% online, 40% live. Good place to be for a webinar about online auctions today. And poll number 3, here we go. If you own a facility, is the facility currently manned or unmanned? Have you gone contactless with your facility? Have about an 80-20 split so far. 80%, your staff is back there on site daily, 20% unmanned, you're contactless. Jim is your guy to talk about contactless, because Jim, how many of your facilities are contactless right now?
We have 20 facilities. We have 5 main offices, so 15 of them, 14, 15 are unmanned, but we do, and I hate to say unmanned because I do have staff on the properties that goes through and do the walkthroughs and the lock checks and things like that. And they're probably, most of our properties average 10 to 15 hours a week, probably in that area. So we do have a presence on the property. It's just they're not there every day to do. We can more effectively doing it from our hubs in our main offices.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Two more guys real quick, and then we're going to jump into this presentation. This is a critical one for me. Are you a member of the SBOA? Hopefully you answer yes. If you answer no, it's very easy to become a member, and I will show you how towards the end of this webinar. 60-40 split, 60% not a member. Shame on you. Just kidding. We'll talk. Trust me, we'll get you to become a member pretty quickly. And just so you know, membership is currently free with SBOA. It's not a paid membership, so please take advantage of it. It's free. Why not take advantage of it? This one's kind of a long one, but just trying to gain some ideas here on the topics that most interest all of you out there. What topics in self-storage interest you, or do you feel you need some assistance with? We've got legal, technology, investing, operations, marketing. Ooh, technology taking the lead. Technology we got some legal, here they come. Keep answering, keep answering.
I mean, realistically, Jess, technology incorporates operations and marketing to a degree.
It can, you're right. It totally
pick just one of those.
It is. There's so many interesting topics out there, for sure. Cool. We've got technology. We've got second runner-up legal and third runner-up marketing. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for your responses. And right now, before we really dive in, just want to go over a couple of quick housewarming or housekeeping items. Bear with me, guys. My allergies are killing me. I think they're messing with my brain, too. But we are live. If you have questions, please put your questions in the questions panel. I'll jump in here and ask Alonna and Jim the questions that you may have for them, whether it relates to being a contactless or semi-contactless facility, what online auctions look like, and the topics related to online auctions, which you can and cannot do, etc. If you have any technical difficulties, there's a raise your hand option. Please raise your hand. I'll try to mitigate you through those technical challenges as quickly as possible so you can stay in tune with us. And then in the chat section, I'm going to be posting many different links throughout the webinar for you to be able to follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, follow websites, etc. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to come off screen until there's a question, and when Alonna and Jim, if you need any assistance, let me know, but they'll be on screen chatting it up about online auctions and going contactless. So take it away, you two.
All right. So I'll start it off with, I've been doing auctions for a while now, and one of the few things that I hear at trade shows is I can't do online auctions because I don't have somebody full-time at my facility. So the only way I can do them is in person, which is not correct. We do have a lot of operators like Jim that do the contactless or touchless auctions. There's just a way to finesse and make that possible, and a lot of people perfected it during COVID. So I'm going to let Jim kind of give the information on how he does his auctions, and then I'll kind of build on some of our other operators and how they do it.
Sure. Really, I mean, realistically, we have the hub in our main offices, and they're responsible for doing all the letters and the legal work behind the scenes. And then we have our maintenance guys where we will go out with them and cut the locks. We use Da Vinci overlocks on all of our properties for past due, and we have drop boxes there. So it's real easy. We'll go out, and I always have two people cut a lock. Um, we have a form we fill out, and we take plenty of pictures for Alana because a lot of like 10 or more pictures what you guys really want. Take quality pictures with it and invest. Do yourself a favor. Invest in a digital camera, a nice one. I don't want my managers putting them on their phone. And then we just go back and we upload them in the office, and we upload everything from there. And when the auction happens, I mean, you get notified right away. As soon as the sale completes, the manager gets the invoice. We call the buyer. We actually create on all of our remote properties. We have 5 or 6 auction-specific gate codes, and we assign them monthly. We change them monthly. So if Alana bought one unit, we give her the code there, so we know who's going in and who's going out. We give them the code. We tell them they got to return the tag and the lock to the Dropbox. It's got to be swept clean, and they have to take a picture of the unit when it's empty and email it back to us. And then our maintenance staff is out the next day or the day after, and they go out, inspect the unit, bring the tag and the lock back, and re-tag it and lock it for the next customer to rent. It's pretty easy. I mean, when we first came out of COVID, we were doing a lot of auctions, and we were selling units that were what I would have deemed in previous years not no sales. We were selling everything at a higher dollar amount. Alana, you and I were talking in Nashville, and you said your average sale is like $195 in one?
Yeah, we kind of switch around to 195 to 205. It keeps rotating back and forth because we're looking at data that's recent, and our sale prices are going up and up because more people are finding these units to be in demand and they're willing to pay more. We joke around. We had a unit the other day that was all construction material, and it was like, all right, we have a unit full of 2x4s and scaffolding. Like, we have the golden unit sitting here ready to go, because if you're building anything, you know that price of building materials is skyrocketed right now.
And I can tell you, use it a lot, use your platform since we've been on it just about a year now, right? Or maybe coming up on a year. We've had 9 units sell for more than they owed, and one sold for $2,000 more than they owed. Now, again, that's not our money. We don't get to keep it, but I recovered all of my money that was invested in that unit with late fees and stuff like that. So, we have it set up. We use SiteLink, and I have everything outlined in there when the lock form prints out for us to cut the lock, so we go out to make sure we post it properly. It's seamless.
Yeah, so one of the main things that we have with the Contactless, though, is with the online auction platform, you get to set your rules. So you can say everything from beginning to end of what takes place. And that's what a lot of our locations do. They'll tell you, manager not on site, you must schedule a time to pick up this unit. And that is all outlined in the rules. Even the cleaning deposit, not everybody charges a cleaning deposit, but a lot of locations do. So if these unmanned locations are doing a deposit, they'll add it into their software as a fee, and they'll either tell them if the unit's not cleaned out, they're going to charge them the $100 as a cleaning fee, or they'll tell them they'll charge it beforehand and they will refund it. It's just up to the location how they set up their rules and what they're wanting to do. Everything, though, is up to that facility. You can set up how long you have to clean out the unit. You can set up as far as your time and dates that they can pick it up. If it has to be on Wednesday from 1 to 5, they can do that because that's the day your maintenance man is there. That's perfectly fine. We have some locations now that have switched to the no key system, so they can give them access to those units with their cell phone. We also have some operators who use word locks. They will, once they've taken the payment over the phone for the credit card, they'll give them the code to enter that lock that's on the unit. No one even has to be there, and they just put the lock in the Dropbox and they're off to go. And it's really become a seamless operation where you really don't have to be there. Some of our larger operators, one of the more well-known unmanned facility groups is Red Dot. They don't have managers at any of their locations. And that's what they do, is they'll have our system sell the unit, and then they take the payment for the unit and they give them access to it through those locks. And it has really made life a lot easier for them, not having to send somebody out there, not having an auction on your site. So
No, agree 100%. I mean, it's made one of those, I mean, I've been in the industry long enough that I remember when storage wars came out and we were having so much difficulty with people cutting locks. And I remember I showed up to a live auction on one store in Maryland. I had 100 people there. They were parking on the driveway, they were parking on the grass, they were double parking on the road. And I just don't want the liability of people being on my property that don't belong.
now, Jim, what are some of the lessons you've learned with your contactless auctions? I know you've had a few.
Yeah, I mean, we've really, and again, we do not collect the cleaning deposit. That was an executive decision we made. We've had probably one or two people in the year doing this that really had to go back for. But again, it's for us, it was easier to do that, deal with that, than deal with trying to return deposits and stuff like that. Other one, we've had a couple no-shows. I just had one this month where the guy bought the unit, paid for the unit, never came pick it up. And we gave him 48 hours, and he didn't come pick it up. We said, hey, we're going to dispose of it if you're not coming to get it. And that was that. But I mean, the biggest thing I still implore in all my stores, no matter what, and a lot of you, and I know if Jeff was here, he'd agree with me. No matter what's in the unit, I'm going to take it from start to finish on the auction process. I am not going to throw out a mattress or 3 bags of what might be trash. I am going to, even though I want those units back as quick as possible, I am not going to take the risk of throwing out a mattress and having somebody come back, we had money in that thing. So, and I know that happens out there. Jeff Greenberger was telling me that people do that purposely. So, but I mean, really, we haven't had any issues that, aren't things we run into. Like I said, we had 2 that didn't buyers didn't show up, but other than that, and we went right back to you guys, and your team was able to find me next buyer in line and just moved on. So we always get, and it's one thing we do, we always schedule ours like Tuesday or Wednesday of the last week of the month. So that way, if we do have somebody that no shows or no buys, we have time to get that before we get it out at the end of the month. So we're first month building.
So we do have that question come up all the time. What happens if a buyer doesn't show up? What happens if their payment fails? Because with the online process, we charge them 10% of that winning bid, just to make math and life easier on me. Let's say the unit sells for $100. We charge them $10 right away, so that 10%. Then they come and pay your facility the remaining 90. Now, if you're going contactless, maybe you're making them use a payment portal online, or you are taking their card over the phone. So you're able to set up that as far as contactless goes. But we know right away when their card fails for that 10%. We have a system where it charges them the 10% the first time. If it fails, we're going to keep trying to charge once every 5 minutes. Everyone who's done auctions knows sometimes these auction buyers are odd ducks and they may not believe in banks. So some of them do the prepaid cards. So we'll let them know you won the auction. You need to go add money to your card. But we get notified 16 minutes after that card has continuously failed for 3 attempts. So we will start contacting that bidder as soon as that 16 minutes is up. And if they let us know they just can't buy the unit, which happens, it's not often, but it does happen, or we'll tell them you need to go and add money onto your card. So we kind of have a feeling right off the get-go of, do you have the funds? If you don't have the 10% in your account, then you definitely don't have the remaining 90% in your account. So we kind of get a feeling for it right away, and we try to get on it, because if you lose that first place bidder, that second place bidder has potentially already bought another unit. Maybe they have put their monies elsewhere into a different unit, a different facility, or maybe one of your other units. So we try to get that taken care of right away. So in Jim's case, when he has a no-show, we go right after those second place bidders to make sure that your unit gets taken care of. Because one nice perk, as I said before, my family's in self-storage. The owner of our company, Lonnie, he has a few self-storage facilities. We know the goal of this process is to get your rentable space back. It's not always about let's just make all of our money back to sell these people's stuff. It's I want my rentable space back to get somebody in here who is going to actually pay their bill, because that's where we make the most money. So we had a lot of people during COVID who didn't know how to do this. Their staff was working from home. They weren't sure how to do their auctions and not have somebody on site all the time. And that was a huge issue. So we really had to look at how can I do this contactless, and how can I make this easier for my staff? How can I make this easier for my bidders? You know, there's a lot of things that really went into it. Jim, your group was lucky. You guys were doing this before COVID, so you weren't stuck scrambling trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we just talked, we had a lot of conversations in Nashville about, even in the manager session that I got to host with Jess and Katie and Jim, that a lot of people were scrambling to even get on the contactless rental part of the system because when COVID hit. So auctions were definitely not on the radar for that. So, I mean, we were fortunate enough, we had some plans in place, and we were already remote facility to begin with. So we had kind of been, I guess, ahead of the curve. So ours was a little less, and we've been able to help other companies, go through this whole process. Ben Hendricks, a good friend of mine, was a 5-star in Fargo, North Dakota. Him and I were talking the one day, and he goes, "I never thought of that." It's just, it's the thing I love most about our industry. Everybody helps everybody, and we all learn from each other and pick up who's doing what. And I just tell people all the time, what works for me might not work for you, but if you take part of what I do, it might work. So just have an open mind. And the statement I hate the most is, "Well, that's the way we've always done it." When I hear that, I just think, oh. So, but no, I mean, we've had huge success in your organization, and I know we sent a few people your way for other companies to hop on, because you're right. The end game is get the unit back, and I don't care. I would rather have somebody bid $20 on a unit and clean it out and save my manager an hour and a half of cleaning out somebody's out treasures, and just get it out.
Well, that was one of the things. So Jim, Ben is also one of our locations that uses us up in North Dakota. They are another one that it's always great to see what they're doing and learn what they're doing, because what they do is not what you do, and it's not what I do, but it works for them, and you can kind of learn bits and pieces. It's one of the things I've actually loved about being part of the self-storage industry is everybody's willing to share. It's why we have events such as this one with SPOA. You get to learn and share and really discuss and grow from each other. It's like I call it, now on the vendor side, I say we're the traveling circus, because we all travel together. And then on the owner operator side, I'm like, it's a functional, dysfunctional family. We're all competitors at some point in the bigger markets, or even in our smaller ones, but they're always willing to help. So it's a nice, family dynamic. But going back to Ben, North Dakota, they are pretty spread out. So I was just looking up, North Dakota changed their lien laws, and who knew North Dakota had so many self-storage facilities? So I'm going through and I was looking up all the locations to make sure they knew their lien law changed, because that's part of my job with being on the auction side. And as I'm going through, I was like, holy cow, some of these facilities are 40, 50 miles away from each other. They really don't have competitors. Now, when you think about that on the auction side, the auction people are coming from farther away. They may be coming for, 200 miles away to buy something that they want. They want it, they want it, they're coming from farther. So keep that in mind with the online auction side. You're going to open up your bidder base from farther away. I make the joke, it is no secret, my husband is blocked from our website. If I find out he has an alternative email, he will be blocked again, because he keeps looking at cars in Nevada, and we're in Arizona. I don't want to drive to Nevada. My husband's a car guy, and he's willing to go. He is willing to drive up to Nevada to go buy a storage unit. So you're on the auction side, you're going to come from farther away to pick up those units. And then with the unmanned facilities, if you've given them a gate code and they've paid, they've done everything they need to do, they may be able to come in the evening. Maybe they don't get off work till 5. At a traditional office would have been closed by 5. So they're able to come at 6, 7 o'clock at night and load up their units that they want online. So the unmanned option also works for the facilities who maybe are on site from 8 to 5, but they are not available in the evenings. Well, the person's paid, they have a gate code, they have the information to get into the lock, whether it's a word lock or the cell phone app or whatever locking mechanism that you have, and they're able to clean out their units after hours. Although you have a full-time staff who's there during the day, maybe they're not there in the evenings. Some locations don't want them there when the facility's not there, but there are some people who are willing to work with those bidders and buyers because they are coming for 2 to 3 hours away just to get to you.
Alonna, I just sold one in my in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, which is kind of south of Harrisburg a little bit. The guy drove from upstate New York because there was a Coca-Cola vending machine in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Most of my properties are accessible 24/7, which is good and is bad. But I mean, we have people come down, they buy the unit, they're in and out that night, and that's why we put on there that when they're done with the unit, we want to make sure they take a picture of the empty unit and email it to us that way, and close the door again and shut it. And the simple rules that sometimes people don't think about to make sure that it's ready for us to sweep out and put a lock in there and a new tag and re-rent it, because we want it back and rentable. I mean, this last auction we had a handful, but we flipped most of them within 24 hours. And most of them were re-rented within 24 hours because we're that full.
Now, I will say the one thing that makes the contactless auction successful, though, is going to be the information from the get-go, making sure that your auction rules outline everything from beginning to end. I definitely don't recommend having your unit number listed in your photos or in your information if you are telling them no one is on site. Here's what's in unit 16, and it's something extremely valuable. I wouldn't do that. I would shy away from the unit number. They'll get the unit number on their invoice when they win the unit. But as far as your rules that you're putting out there, if you want them to call you, if you want them to email you, if you want them to only show up Monday through Friday from 1 to 5, that's, all of your rules, you get to dictate all of that. It's not set in stone. If you decide on your next auction you want to do a different set of rules, that's perfectly fine. We just make sure that you are, working with the bidder. We found that a lot of locations that are in parts of the world that get rain, I'm in Arizona, it's not one of those places, and they'll have a storm, or Pennsylvania, it snows there, so they'll have a big snowstorm. They're able to work with them on, okay, I know I gave you 24 hours, but our doors are frozen solid. Our gate is frozen closed. We've had a lot of those situations where they're like, all right, I'll give you 72 hours, or let's wait till it's safely available for you to get here. But we're seeing a lot of those rules, though, that you've just really got to identify. If you're going to charge them on a credit card, make sure you put in that you're accepting credit card payments, that you're not accepting cash. If you are going to be charging them the $100 cleaning deposit, make sure that you have outlined that. There's a lot of rules that are in there, and you just have to make sure that you are putting them in there and outlining them. Don't surprise the buyer with them. That's not going to make them happy, and it's not going to make the transition smooth. But things like that we went over when I set up Jim's account. What are your rules? Let's put them in here. Let's make sure everybody knows them. They see them when they bid. They see them on their invoice. They get them in an email. They are being told the rules multiple times. If they can't follow them, maybe they can't read, but they're being told those rules, so you can fall back on them as well.
You just hit a good one about the unit number. We have rules in place for our managers when they go out. So when they go out and cut a lock, we're using a digital camera. We download the SD card on the computer. But the first picture they take is the unit number. They take all the pictures, and the last picture they take is the lock with the security tag on it. So when you upload a computer, you can copy and put them in folder to folder, and then the managers know, okay, they don't do this. But the great thing about your software is my managers can upload an auction, but they can't launch it. I have to. So I go in and verify all the things are in the right place, make sure they got the right facility, all that information. And if I see a picture where they actually put the number in, I can just delete it real quick before I launch it. So they do all the work uploading and put all the information in. And I've caught it where they put the wrong end time on an auction sometimes. So for me, having another set ID, or me or my area manager, to go in and before it's launched, we set eyes on it again to make sure it looks right before we launch it. So we always know that they're all loading them up. We get the alert from you guys that they're loaded. We go in that night, we approve them, and boom, they're gone and ready to go. So having an extra set of eyes, just, and again, I say this all the time, this is the least favorite part of our job, but it's also one of the most critical legal parts of our job. We have to make sure things are correct.
Now, one thing that I will say with the online auctions compared to the live auctions, because we do have people on here who are doing live auctions still, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that the bidders are coming from farther, but they don't have the chance to sit there and kind of look through the unit. So you have to be their eyes for them. When you're looking at that unit, look at overall, you have the entire unit as a whole, then break it down into quadrants, and then kind of zoom in on things. You got to think like a bidder at that point to make your online auction successful. And you are trying to think, what are they wanting? Do they want the tools? Do they want the dresser? Different things. I will say during quarantine, we were all stuck inside and looking up different DIY projects. You know, like people wanted those wooden dressers that before, when you're doing auctions, they're like, another giant dresser that's in this unit that somebody just couldn't move. Well, that became a hot item. People really wanted these big, giant pieces of wooden furniture because they were going to slap some paint on it, distress it a little, and call it farmhouse chic or whatever it was called. And they became so popular. And we have more people going through and looking at these units. And like I said, with people that I talk to at shows or on these sessions and on various calls that I do, their biggest concern is I'm either in a rural market, I don't have enough auctions, or I don't have somebody on site, so I have to have a live auction. You know, don't ever say, you know, count yourself out and say you can't do something. There's always options. There's operators like Jim who have really thought outside of the box early on, and how can I do this and how can I transition from this to that? It takes a lot to kind of iron out the details, but it is totally possible. And with the online auctions, you only need one unit. You don't have to have 5 units to draw your crowd to get a legal auction, because you do have to have a minimum number of attendees. So it's definitely a good option to look at.
Well, you said that. I mean, some of my markets are secondary, tertiary markets. I got a store that we picked up in Tennessee 2 years ago. When we bought the store, the guy didn't have internet and didn't have a computer because people in our area don't use technology. We went in and put the website in, and we're now 97% occupied. And online auctions work there equally, if not better, in some areas. And again, we draw from farther away because people are looking. You touched earlier about the pictures. One of the things we make sure is we put a lot of detail in the notes section. What's in there, we will specifically list if it's like a Daisy BB gun or a Red Ryder wagon or Coca-Cola vending machine. We will put that descriptions in there. The more descriptions you put in there, I've actually looked at some other online auctions, and they really don't put any household goods. Well, I mean, people are looking and scanning these things. If the AC keywords are going to pop out and draw their attention, you're going to get more money for that unit because you've identified something somebody might want.
Well, and I will say another thing that you kind of touched on earlier, Jim, is the APIs, our interfaces with various softwares. Jim uses SiteLink, and that is one of the softwares that we do interface with. We interface with multiple other ones, and we've even kind of taken the contactless approach with our software. We want to make it as easy as possible for the managers to be able to just click a button to say sync, and it pulls over all of their available units for their auction. So it kind of takes away that touch needed for the managers to go one by one through their units to see what is available for auction. Our system will pull it all over. Jim has, like I said, SiteLink. So his will even, once his managers take a payment, if his managers get busy, which they do, they don't all just sit around. But if his team gets busy and yet again, contactless, somebody's not there to take the payment, it'll actually pull that unit off of our website an hour before the auction ends. Our system will run another sync to say this auction is ending. Let's see if any of these tenants have paid. So it's another contactless feature for it to go back through SiteLink and say, all right, I have these 10 units going. Let's see, okay, 2 of these tenants have paid. Let's pull that unit off the site. It's done for a few different reasons. A, we don't want to sell a unit that your tenants paid for. 2, we want to make sure that it goes and puts it back out. It'll tell all the bidders that are bidding on that unit that that unit is no longer available. Check out the other units. They may have decided, all right, I only have $500 to spend on my units this week. All right, now I'm pulling back and now I have more time to bid on these other units that are at this facility. So it really does take that pressure off your managers because they're remote. They're not sitting right there and realizing like, oh, they took a payment. They made a payment online. So that's another contactless thing that's able to happen. And we have a lot of various softwares that we work with that we do these features with to make it as easy as possible, because you guys have spent a lot of money and a lot of time making the contactless or touchless option available for your tenants of payments, move-ins, move-outs, all sorts of things. And we just want to make sure no steps are skipped and that we're part of that contactless from beginning to end.
Yeah, Lonnie, you're 100% right. The biggest thing for us is we know some people are not really good spellers, me included. And if you're starting to put the person's name in the unit, and a lot of they spell your name wrong, right, or whatever. I mean, they spell simple name wrong. So it's to pull over exactly as it is in the software is critical. One of the things we've also done with people who buy their way out of their auction, and one of our biggest headaches has always been people are in auction and they never come and put a new lock on the unit. So it always has our tag and our lock still on the unit. Not a rule of thumb for my managers. If you're paying your way out, we're gonna say, are you coming in now to put a lock on it? They say no. We actually sell them a changeable combination lock. Before they make their payment, we add it to the account so they pay for that. We will then go out and have our maintenance staff go out, take the Da Vinci lock and the red tag off so we get that back. And we'll set the combination, like the last four of their phone number, put the key for the lock and the information in the unit, seal, close the door back down, put their lock on, and seal it with another like green tag. Take a picture. That way we know our lock's back. It's been sealed for them, and they have their new combination. Because that way I'm not sitting there going doing a walkthrough and say, wait, this has a red lock and an auction tag on it. Oh no, they paid 3 months ago. I don't want that headache. So now it's like the managers know, if you're calling to pay, are you coming in today to put a lock on? If not, we're going to put a lock on for you, charge you for the lock, and we're going to charge you for the placement fee, because we want ourselves secure.
We're even taking it one step further. Right now, we're working on a product in our system for all these states, just like Jim's. We're getting so many states that are falling in line with doing the newspaper ads, getting rid of them, because it is a lot of money for no visibility. So one of our things that we offer is the legal notice. Our system has the ability to post the legal notice, so it is posted for a commercially reasonable auction. Now our system is going to identify, especially when you have a group like Jim's that uses SiteLink, it's going to say, here's your tenant's information as well that's going to pull over. It'll auto-populate what is legally required for your state's legal notice and post that. So it's just another little step that we're going to create to make life easier and more automated and contactless for our locations, because accidents happen. It's going to say, I'm pulling these 6 units. These are my 6 tenants that are going to auction. It is Jim Smith at ABC Self Storage unit number 123. And here's what I've listed in their auction. So it'll pull all the information that's needed for that state's legal notice, and it will auto-populate it for you and populate it right into our legal notice section, just to make life contactless and a little easier and take away that step, because that's just another step that owners and managers have to do, and let's make it easier. It's the easiest thing to do, is just keep adding these features. And we have wonderful owners like Jim and managers who send us requests almost regularly.
You say that because I just had breakfast with your partner in Nashville, and we were talking about things. And one thing that for me, I said, how come it doesn't anywhere on the paperwork list the security tag number that you put on the unit on the invoice for the customer, or just have to put it? And he said, never really thought about that. But for me, that's one thing we do. We always, when we put that tag on the unit, the tags on the unit, the tags in the software, the tags on the paperwork, so we know there's no chance. And when we put the tag on the picture, so the customer knows when they get, the buyer knows, hey, I get to this unit, it's 767, whatever the tag number is. They go to that tag on the unit, they know that what we sealed up is what they're buying. Nobody's been in that unit. So it gives another thing like that. So talking with your guys, I mean, they're always willing to listen to suggestions to make things better. And what worked yesterday doesn't work tomorrow, and we want to be ahead I was talking to Tommy from Plug. I said, I would rather be driving the train than be riding on it. And
And
this is my personality.
there's a lot of different things within Contactless. We may have an owner or manager who's listening to this session who's like, I haven't tried online auctions because it doesn't do this. Don't ever be afraid to tell us, I'm not using it because of this, or ask, can you do this? It may not be a feature that we openly promote, but it is something that's perfectly capable of doing. I just had another large group that I brought on that has 80 locations. They're like, I just don't want my managers. I'm going to set up an individual account for each of them because I don't want the managers to see their other sites. I don't want them to accidentally post their auctions. So I explained to them, you can have a universal that can do everything account, and then we can set up your district managers, and then we can set up your individual managers, and they can only see their sites assigned to. So it was like a headache was relieved for them of, okay, now I can make this a little easier for myself. I can make it a little easier for my team, my district managers. Everybody will be a little happier. And there's a lot of features that, like I said, those contactless, maybe that's why you haven't made the change to online, or maybe that's why you are with the company that you're with. Maybe you're looking to transition. Don't be afraid to ask us. And if we don't do it, we should be able to try to do it or figure it out or tell you yes or no. That's in the realm of possibilities. That's actually how I prospected Jim. What do you need from me for you to come over? And he told me. So I was like, all right, programmers, let's make this happen. So
And Alonna, I will tell you, and I'll tell anybody in the audience, anybody thinking about it or hesitant about making a change, trust me, you're not going to look back and regret your decision. You're not. I mean, we're always technology driven. Everything's going forward. The relationship has been phenomenal, and I mean, we're getting better success on our auctions than we ever have. Some of it's part of COVID. I know that, so honey, you can't take credit for all of it. But working together, we have developed a really seamless thing for our managers, for the buyers to come in and out, for my maintenance staff to lock them down beforehand and afterwards make sure they're straight. It's been very user friendly for us.
well, COVID really, it really sped up the process. I know facilities that I work with on a regular basis now, the only reason they changed was because they couldn't even have the crowd on their site. Even though they were able to do auctions, they couldn't have more than 10 people on their facility. That's not ideal when you're coming to an auction. You want to have a large number of people. So when the contactless option became available for them with doing online, they can get hundreds of views and hundreds of people attending their auctions and not actually have to come in contact with anybody. And if they were only coming in contact with the individual owner of the now unit. The person won the unit, they're coming to claim it, and that was the only person they had to come in contact, not with their limit of 10. I'll also say my background in self-storage, I've been doing this for 13 years now, is actually insurance. I did property and liability insurance, and the online auctions to me was such a great thing because I was removing hundreds of trucks, hundreds of trailers, and hundreds of potential people who were going to slip and fall on our facilities. So it was really an eye-opener of that liability and removing that liability and putting it back. I even have some live auctioneers that I've dealt with in the past where our owners would ask them to put them on as an additional insured. So if they did get sued, it was actually going to be passed on to the auctioneer. And they're like, no, if they get hurt here, even though I brought them, that's your fault. So it's definitely something to look at. And the world of contactless really sped up that process.
Well, and speaking for somebody who used to do live auctions for our own facilities in Maryland, my day is now not tied up. And inevitably, we would schedule auctions like 10, 12, and had a caravan drive. Inevitably, you're going to be behind. And inevitably, you're going to have people at your 2 o'clock auction. You don't get there until 3 o'clock, and they're mad at you because you're not there on time. But my day is now freed up, and my manager's day is now freed up to do what we want them to do, which is rent more space. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. And like I said, anybody not trying it, please call Alonna. She'll take really good care of you. But call me. I will walk you through what I do. There's no secrets in this business. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Um, the Da Vinci overlocks have been fantastic for us. We just give them the code, they can go in and get the stuff, and like Alonna said, have everything outlined, have your rules set up, and even when the manager calls to take the payment, reinforce the rules, give them the gate code, give them the lock code for the lock, and they reinforce what they have to do and hold them accountable.
Mhm.
There's Jess. You come back on.
I'm back. I'm back. I just wanted to give an opportunity to see if anybody out there had any questions. No questions have come in thus far, but this is your chance to talk live with Alonna and Jim. Hope you've been checking out the chat area. I've been putting some links in there where you can connect with Alonna and Jim on LinkedIn. You can connect with me as well. Put out the storageauctions.com website information for you. How to join SBOA. If you guys have any questions, here's your shot before we wrap this up today. Nonetheless, if anyone doesn't have any questions, you guys gave so much information. You probably covered it all. I know I learned a lot today, and I hope that everybody that attended did as well.
Well, and I was going to put
anything go over your head?
right over.
Everything goes over my head. Funny.
I was going to put the invite out since I'll be in Vegas and I've been invited to many dinners and it just dawned on me that I should probably start accepting invites or I'm going to be eating by myself. So if anybody else is here on listening, if they're going to be in Vegas, find me. I eat. I'm sure you eat. So Jim eats. I had dinner with Jim in Nashville. So
We had a really good dinner. Yes, we did.
Yeah, I had Jim for dinner in Nashville too with Dan Cosgrove from MSI. That was a good one too, for sure. So,
yep. So if you're going to be,
the only requirement I put on Vegas for going out for dinner, I am not leaving the resort. If we want to go to dinner, fine, but I am not leaving the hotel.
why
I'm
aren't
not
you
going
leaving?
outside. It's freaking hot.
oh my gosh.
Hey, I've been training for this my whole life living in Arizona. So I will be
That's
perfectly fine. I'm actually organizing, if you're one of the more adventurous people, I am organizing a nighttime helicopter ride over the strip in Vegas. But you have to leave
Wow.
I'm in.
you have to leave
Yeah.
the hotel.
They're not landing on the hotel roof for you, Jim. Sorry.
Yeah.
Alonna, for you, I will even go with a helicopter ride with you. Okay.
All right. All right.
Listen, I learned my lesson in Nashville. That was a heavy property to walk, and Vegas is going to be just as heavy. So,
Well,
Vegas is
it's
a
definitely
regular
you got to make sure you have the smaller windows.
say that again, sir.
If Jess gets on the helicopter, you got to make sure you have the kitty windows to look out of.
You know. One day I'll grow up and be as tall as you guys.
Jim doesn't ever plan on growing up. He's going to be a Toys R Us kid forever.
I
So
know.
My father said if I didn't grow up by the time I was 60, I didn't have to. So guess what? I don't have to.
I love it. Yeah, you've aged out, huh? I can at least do old jokes since you like to do short jokes, but I'm quickly
Bring 'em
following
on.
you.
aha, you can't make old jokes about me.
I know. Alana is younger than me, but her and I are getting as much Botox as we can, no matter what age we're at right now.
Yep. You no longer will my face speak before my mouth. So, 'cause it's frozen.
Is that a good or bad thing?
It's good because I'd give the like sideways eyebrow glance to people. They're like, "Did you have a problem with what I said?" I'm like, "Oh, no,
Yeah.
nope." So yes, you can
I
no
love
longer
it.
see that.
Awesome.
I will be hiding my expressions a little bit better. But no, this was a great session, and it's always fun to talk with Jim. And I will say, I hear all day long. I don't have anybody at my facility, so I can't do an auction. You can. Let me show you how. So,
Yeah.
Exactly. And it will be more, and like you said, Alana, if you only have one unit, now you can get that unit back faster instead of holding it for 4 or 5. Because you know the longer you hold it, they're not going to pay. So get them out in the 90 days or whatever your state allows. Just don't hold it, get them out, and get your unit back so you can re-rent it.
in the past year, we've had on average, our average right now at our locations are about 30% rental increase. for the past year. That's a big chunk of change. Cannot get anybody to move out. But we have a waiting list. So we have, we're 100%. We just cannot get them out of our units. No one wants to be 100%. We all want to be in that 95 range and below because you want rates. We are now raising rents where most of our tenants are above street rate. And it's like, all right, go growing up in street rate because they're willing to pay it. And this housing market, if you cannot get into, if you sell your house, good luck finding a new one, because you either have to come in all cash, $100,000 over, or you're waiving everything. So people are going into rental spaces and putting their stuff in storage because they just cannot find a place. I have friends that are right now buying or sold their house and they bought land in their building. But now, because of the shortage of building supplies and the cost of building supplies, their house projected completion date is almost a year behind.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
We just had a customer in one of my stores in Pennsylvania. He came in to get one of my last 10 by 30 units. His house sold within 13 hours, and the buyer offered him $35,000 more if he was out in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. We just bought a place and we're going up there this weekend, and we paid all cash, 10-day close, and had a private inspector come in for it. And we were about $40,000 over ask. And it was just because we were in a bidding war, and we bought it within an hour of it going on market.
Yeah, we just bought our house too, and we paid only 10 grand over the asking price. But if our realtor wouldn't have built in what's called an escalatory clause, we would have lost out on this house too. And we lost out on a ton in the process. We weren't cash buyers, we were, finance buyers. So these cash buyers from the north were coming down to the south, and they just kept beating us out every time. But if you don't know what an escalatory clause is and you're in the housing market, ask your realtor, because it saved me and it got me the house of my dreams recently. So no questions. Sorry, guys. I really think it's because you covered it all. Everyone, just to let you know, if you become a member of the SBOA, there are exclusive offers with our alliance partners. StorageAuction.com is an alliance partner with us. So again, become a member of SBOA, tie in with us to tie in with them, get that exclusive offer that they're offering. I believe it's the free
6 months, no cancellations.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. So again, membership with SBOA is free. Take advantage of it. Connect with us, connect with Alonna, and always connect with Jim Mooney. He's a wealth of information. He's been in the industry for a long time. So has Alonna. I'm the baby of the group as far as being new to the industry, but I'm learning as quickly as possible everything I can possibly learn by attending the shows and going to the informational sessions, the breakout sessions. They're always so great to attend. So many knowledgeable people in this space, such a good space to be in. The industry is recession proof. It held throughout COVID, and we're seeing crazy transactions out there in the space. So thank you guys for your time today. I always love being in a room with you or on a Zoom with you or go to webinar. I'll see you in a couple weeks in Vegas. And if we have any follow-up questions that come out of this that will get sent to my email, they're coming your way, guys.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
Rest of your day.
Awesome. You guys too. Thanks for joining. Take care, everyone. Have a good Thursday.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.